In the past couple of weeks, we've been together talking about this idea of flow. And I shared with you a couple of examples about what happens when you put God first, when you put love first in your life. And I told you about the time that through the law of consciousness and right consciousness and faith that I found myself cruising down the California coast in a Mercedes with our own personal driver. And I told you about the time that through the law of tenfold that I managed to get gifted 10 song bowls. And I told you about the time that through the demonstration of the law of giving and receiving that, the universe was able to turn a $250 gig into a $2,000 gig. And so if you didn't get to hear those testimonials, you can check them out on YouTube. But what I would say is that there's more stories where they came from, and those stories are yours, are your stories. So today we have the best of the things that have been able to manifest is that Lisa Natoli's here. This is better than anything. So because we've been through the laws of generosity, Lisa Natoli, a major teacher of prosperity, who's not only taken the 7 keys of the kingdom, but she lives it. And through her generosity and through maybe our right consciousness, we have the pleasure of having this Holy Communion where we're, spontaneously hosting her today. So when she sent me the email, I was sort of gobsmacked. I was like, I said to her, your email left me speechless, which is really hard to do. My husband's been trying to do that for years. So I got her email, and when she told me that she had taken the course and that it changed her life, I knew, because I've seen her life in action, and I'm like, this woman is doing it on point. And I know that she's such a serious straight shooter. I actually had the pleasure of hearing her story at the Course in Miracles convention in Boston, where she was the keynote speaker. And I was just thrilled that she was willing to join us today. Lisa Natoli is a healer. She's a psychotherapist and a Course in Miracles teacher. She's devoted to God and helping others to change the way that they see themselves. She's the creator of the Healing Cure. She's the founder of Teachers of God, and she, along with her husband, hosts these amazing virtual conferences, and they have one coming up in April. But more than that, she is just a solid A-class powerhouse woman. When I think of who is a lighthouse for me, who is a maven, moxie, a mogul, a mystic, minister, she checks all the boxes. So I'm super excited that she's here with us today. And please welcome Lisa Natoli.
Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Maureen. I have to tell you all, I'm nervous, and I actually think that's a good way to open up my talk, because I think the prosperity work is about showing up when you're scared. And it's always been like this. People look at me and go, oh my God, you're always giving talks, you're always in front of hundreds of people. And I'm always scared. I'm always like, oh my God, what am I doing? I have nothing to say. And so I wanted to start with that. I really wanted to say, for me, the prosperity work is really just about tapping into your authenticity. It's really tapping into your inheritance as love. And so I know I only have 15 or 20 minutes, so that we have time for questions. So I want to condense it. I could spend all day talking about this work. This work, it makes me so excited. And so I want to just bring it to a place where you feel inspired. And I've been with the Course in Miracles since 1992. I'm just going to backtrack to my childhood. And I really feel like anyone, I guess I'm going to ask a question first. Who has money fear here? Okay, almost every hand goes up. It's very, very few people who don't have money fear. And A Course in Miracles really is about seeing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. And one of the topics I have found as a Course in Miracle teacher is that money is almost like something that most Course people avoid. That's not in the Course, that's worldly, that's ego. I don't need money. I have everything I need. God will provide. I'm one with God. Yeah, right, for sure. But is that your experience? And so you want to really say, okay, is it my time to look at the blocks that are there that have just been running the show for you? And so as a child and as children, mostly before the conditioning comes in, we don't have shame around money. I wanted money. I knew how to make money. I started my working gig. I was 9 years old. I started babysitting the across the street neighbor's newborn baby for 50 cents an hour. I quickly became the neighborhood babysitter. I always had money. As a family, we didn't have money. We had a house with a yard, so maybe people thought we had money, but behind our doors, we didn't have money. If we wanted extra things besides the food that was on the table, we had to buy our own, Nike sneakers and school clothes and so as a child, there was no guilt around it. It was like, okay, like I know how to make money. I had fun making money. I had fun spending money. I had fun giving money. But then like you start to learn, especially in spiritual community, that it's bad, that's worldly. And I picked all that up. And also I feel that a lot of our money habits do come from how we were raised, and so I was raised where you get rid of money as fast as it comes in. You just get rid of it. You just like, so that was my personal pattern. So money would come in, but it was never enough. Never. I was just, no matter how much money I had, it never was enough to pay my bills. And I also had a habit of getting the money and then treating myself. So I was somebody who would be like, okay, I'm going to like, because I've been in lack for all this time, now I'm going to like do something extravagant. And then with the Course in Miracles, I really was like, oh, I have no interest in money. I just want to really wake up. I want to know myself as love. I want to be the true self. I want to just do this work. I'm here as a light in the world. All of these things. And so I actually spent like 10 or more years with almost no money, but happily. I always had a roof over my head. I pick up little jobs here and there to get me through, but it wasn't like a problem. But I literally had no money. Like when it was $4 a gallon for gas, I had $2 in change. So often I would have to ask my friends for rides. I didn't have money for coffee, for a cup of coffee. I couldn't go to the movies. But I always had a roof over my head, and I always ate. Like I always had food. So I always was like, oh yeah, God's providing. And people used to give me plane tickets to travel to teach A Course in Miracles. No, they didn't know I didn't have money when I got there. So I would be the teacher. I would arrive around the world in these locations. Somebody would always pick me up. I always had a place to stay, meals. But when everybody wanted to go out for coffee after I would teach, I didn't have money to pay for my own coffee. So I was like, well, I hope somebody pays for my coffee. That was my life, but I was like, it's okay. I'm totally devoted to God. I'm all in. I'm like, I'm just here for this work. And it was in around 2012 where I was like, I really want to do something about this block. It had nothing to do with the money. And I started going to a Unity church. I don't have a religious upbringing, so I didn't know about tithing, never heard of it. And I heard they were offering a prosperity. I didn't even know about prosperity classes. I mean, this was super foreign to me. And they were offering this 5-week class. I didn't take Keys to the Kingdom. I actually have my original book until 2014. I still have the dates on it. July 28th, 2014 to September 15th, 2014, 7 to 9 Mondays. Lisa Natoli, like I'm a child with my little workbook. And so this came later, but I took Edwin Gaines' The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity first. This is a little book you can buy on Amazon. And I was like, I had this feeling of excitement. Like I felt like, okay, I was working as a Zumba instructor at the time. I had no money, no job. I wasn't teaching the way I teach now. I didn't have a business. 10 years worth of credit card debt and student loans unpaid since 1986. Overdraft bank account was a very regular occurrence for me back then. And I used to always say, it's okay. It's okay. I'm as God created me. I'm not a body. I am free. And I just was like, I want to really look at the blocks, the fears that are around money. Why am I not paying my debt? Why don't I ever have money? My website used to get shut down. Back in the day, it was $10 a month for WordPress. And I had hundreds of people on my mailing list who were writing me all the time saying, oh my God, I love you so much. You've changed my life. Oh my God, thank you for these emails. And they didn't know I didn't have $10 sometimes to pay for the cost to keep my website up. I mean, everything's way more expensive now. And then I would send a message out to people to ask them to send me $1. Because I thought to myself, if everyone on my mailing list just sent me $1 a month, I would have so much money. If everybody would just send me $1, and I would, like 20 people would send me $1. So that's how I knew this problem cannot be solved outside of me. This is an inside job, and the block is in me. So even when I asked people to give me money, they didn't give me money because I got a block going on. So I was like, okay, this is, I have to deal with this. And so I said yes. My husband, Bill, he actually wasn't my husband at the time. This was like in 2012. He had a 25-year kind of relationship in a Christian church where tithing was just a thing. And so he didn't like it. He was like, I'm not tithing. Screw that. Like, because in the church, it's about guilt. And it's usually a way for the church to bring in income. So I was like, well, I'm taking the class. I'm in. I bought the book, and I left. The book must have been in the living room one night, and he looked at it, and he saw my excitement, and he was like, okay, I'm going to take it too. Like, he just decided to take it with me, and we were going to tithe in this new way, not out of guilt, but just for the time of the class. And we're going to tithe because we want to know that God is our source and supply. We want to be like Jesus. What does A Course in Miracles say? Lesson 188, the peace of God is shining in me now. The light came with you from your native home and has stayed with you. And it's all you need. This is how Jesus was healing and how he was multiplying the fishes and the loaves 2020 years ago, because of the light in you. He knew it. He realized his oneness with this light. The Father is the light. That's what my Father is. It's the light in you. That's what God is. That's where your abundance is, this light. Love is your currency. I love, Maureen, that you mentioned that at the beginning. Every single one of you here is so rich, overflowing abundance in peace and joy and friendship and presence, in love, in vitality, in inspiration, in connection, in community. And you have so much to give. And so, but we don't giving it because we're like, well, I don't have any money. So you have to start somewhere. So when I started taking this class, this prosperity class, in Maureen Muldoon and Beth Gordon are going to be offering the keys to the kingdom, starts tomorrow, 7 weeks. I have nothing to do with it. I just saw Maureen's email this week. I'm like, all right, I got to say something to my mailing list, because I happen to know this work is life changing. It is life changing. And the one thing I want to say, it will bring up every fear in you. It will scare you so much. I have taught this class now many times. I've took the first class, saw my life completely transformed. And it was transformed on the day I made the decision to take the class. And that's what I want to inspire all of you here today. It doesn't happen when the 7 weeks is over, and it doesn't happen during the 7 weeks. It happens on the day you say, I am now going to live in abundance. So when I had no money, working as a Zumba instructor, all that debt, bank account in the negative numbers, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm the happiest, richest person on the planet. That's it. And I am now going as like, play it like a game for the next 7 weeks. I have everything. I am everything. I have everything. I'm it. This is it. And I asked for my husband Bill's support during this time. And that's what the community is really going to be good for all of you who decide to take it. Because often you can't play this game out in the world, because everyone will be like, well, what are you doing? You don't have any money. Why are you acting like you're the richest, happiest person on the planet? Like, so when you have a community that's playing the game with you, you can really play it big. You can take it to this next level. And what I wanted to say about the work, it's really not about the money. It really is about recognizing that you have everything. So like before I started doing this work, and then later teaching these classes, like I would find a penny or a dime on the street, and I would pass it by because I would think, oh, that's just a penny. No, it's all a gift. Or somebody would give me something, a card or a smile, and we pass them by. We don't see all the gifts that are here. And so part of it is to start to be in a state of gratitude, recognizing everything is God. Everything is coming to me. And I started right there. And what I'm just going to ask a question here. Who has taken prosperity classes before? I'm looking, a few people. Okay, so not a whole lot of people in here. I was such a child. I was like, I don't know anything about this. So what I did was I got a little box. Like I decided, okay, I'm taking this class. I don't have any money, but whatever money comes to me from this moment on, I'm tithing 10% of it. And also there were other commitments during the class. You have to tithe 10% of your time. So that comes out to like 4 hours a week of service work, 10% of your talents. And I was already doing that, with my emails and, all the things I do with that, but it makes you show up in a whole different way. And what I did was I kept a little box, and every time money came to me from that moment of my decision, I would write down on a little piece of paper how much money came to me, and I would put it in the box, even if it was a dime. Even if I found like a quarter or a dollar, or somebody gave me $1, I'd put it on a little piece of paper and I put it in my little box. And at the end of the week, I would take all the paper out of the box and I would add it all up. And then I would give 10% back to my Unity church because they were the ones teaching the class at the time. And that's tithing. And tithing, according to prosperity teachings, is you give where you're spiritually fed. So in that case, it was the Unity class that was teaching me these principles. In these next 7 weeks, it will be the class that Maureen and Beth are teaching. And a lot of stuff comes up during this work. I decided I'm going to pay my debt, because the way I thought was, how do rich, happy people live? And what you're going to be doing in this class is you're going to be writing a vision for yourself. I actually wrote mine this morning. I'm not doing the class this time with you all, but I'm like, I love this work so much. I wrote a new vision for myself this morning. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but I'm just going to give you a little sense. I am the light of the world. I love life. I love people. I love animals. I love God. I'm always myself, full of life, vitality, and presence. I am not censored, careful, or contrived. My life and every day is devoted to miracles. I love laughing and leaning in. I love making people feel interesting and happy. I have that gift. I always follow my heart. I'm a great listener, genuinely interested, enthusiastic, and effusive. I know who I am and what I'm here for. I'm childlike, full of wonder and curiosity. I don't correct people. I make everyone feel brilliant and interesting, loved, lovable, and appreciated. I am relaxed, centered, connected, poised, and happy. I mean, that's just a few of the things on here. So you're going to write a vision for yourself, and you're going to be it from day one. You're going to, actually, the vision comes in week 2, I think. So, but that's this work. You just start to show up. Don't wait for the money to show up. Don't wait for your debt to get paid off. You're not going to wait for things to happen. You're going to step in. And when I decided, what do rich, happy people do? They pay their debt. They don't have debt. They pay their bills on time. And up until that point, as a course student, I was like, money's not real. I'm under no laws but God's. These bills aren't real. I mean, I had so many defenses in me, and I was like, I'm paying this debt. And I called all my credit. It took me a long time to find out who I owed money. I didn't even know. I had been avoiding them for 10 years. And I called everyone up. I said, here I am. I have no money. I have no job, but here I am. Here's my name, my email, my mailing address, my phone number. I paid that debt off in 9 months. And what happened was, when I learned that I was going to pay that debt off, I was so angry. Now, see, those are the blocks that are going to come up in you. You're going to think you're being scammed, that I'm a scam artist and that I scammed you into taking this class. You'll be pissed off at Maureen and Beth probably, because you'll think, why am I tithing? Some of you are going to give thousands of dollars in the next 7 weeks. You are. And some of you won't give that. Some of you will give hundreds. Some of you will give less than 100. But if you're tithing, it's going to push every button in you. It is. It is going to bring up everything that has just been in you buried. Now it's conscious. Now you get to see it. Now you get to heal it. Now you get to look at it. And what I did, just in closing, because I want to open this up for questions and conversation, is that was when the 40-day program was born. For those of you who have taken the 40-day program, it was born during that class. Because up until that point, I'd had the thought, I'd like to do something like that. But I thought, I need money to do it. I'm not ready. And when you step in as like, I have arrived, I am abundant, I have everything, I created the 40-day program for transformation. And then what did I do? Because you start listening. I was listening, and I was told that program is free, and it is always going to be free. And for those of you who have ever taken it, I could charge thousands of dollars for that. It is set up as if it's a program that some people charge $1,000 to $2,000. It's got 43 videos. It's got everything. But it's like you're listening. And our accountant at the time was like, well, you have to put a price on it. How are you going to make money as an organization? I'm like, I don't know. I have everything. I'm the happiest, richest person on the planet. I don't need to charge money for this course. And that's how you're going to start showing up different. That's really what it's all about. So I am just thrilled for those of you who are going to jump in and say yes. And I'm going to pass it back to you, Maureen.
Gosh, Lisa, thank you so much. You know, there's so much that I want to say. If you want to add a comment, if you want to ask a question, put your name in the chat because there's going to be a lot of conversations and questions coming in. So let's just start there. But what I want to say is that I love the box. I love using that box. I mean, the thing about you is like you're so earnest and so freaking pure. It's such an innocent approach. It's like, make it simple for me. Like, make it like I'm a kindergartner. Just get a freaking box. And anytime you get money, drop it in. So helpful. Like, those easy tools are so helpful. I also love the idea that this is going to bring up all kinds of stuff. I've already heard, you know, the echo of like, F that, I'm not doing that. How could you even ask me to do that? And this is the crazy thing. We've been a church community for about 10 years. I've never talked about tithing. I was like, that's the dirty secret that we keep in the back. I just kind of cross my fingers and hope everything works out. But here's the thing, our community tithes. And anytime our community got thin on reserves and somebody on the board said, we can't afford to tithe, I'd say we can't afford not to tithe. Like, we have to do that. We tithe 10% of everything that comes into Foundations to Inner Peace because that's where we're spiritually fed. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's one of the reasons we're such a flush and flourishing community and that we have the consciences to draw a teacher like you. Like, that's it. It's because we tithe. And so it was interesting to me to think, I tithe as a person, my community tithes, but I won't have the balls to ask you to tithe, even though I know it works. You know what I mean? It's like, why am I keeping the best secrets just to myself? Because I'm afraid you won't like me. I'm afraid you'll get angry. I'm afraid you won't be bold enough for it. I'm underestimating you. It's just an uncomfortable conversation to have. And yet we'd say that we have tough and tender conversations. We've talked about everything except for money, really. So I really want to thank you for helping us to gently walk through it. And if there are questions, go ahead and put your name up.
Question that's come in also. And like one of the things is, you cannot do this class and expect to get anything back like that. A lot of people will take a class like this and say, okay, I'm taking it because I want to increase my abundance and I want to increase my money. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You have to let go of all expectation and outcome of it coming. You are not doing this to manipulate the law. You are doing it to heal your money blocks. You're doing it to know that God is your source and your supply. And so that is one of the things. I see a question here that just came in. If I tithe and money doesn't come back, am I doing it wrong? No. But one of the things that can happen is that you're tithing with an attachment still to there's still like, I don't really want to give this. I am only tithing because I have to, because the class is requiring it as a commitment. So the one thing I want to say to everyone who's thinking about taking this class, let all that go. And you just say, I want to give because I want to give, because I want to be like Jesus. I want to be like somebody who's super abundant. Like, to me, tithing, I tithed religiously for years. As I was teaching these classes, I mean, I calculated every dime and dollar that came in, and I did the math on it. At a certain point, I actually don't tithe anymore, quote unquote. And I probably shouldn't even be saying this at the beginning of the class, but those are the training wheels. The training wheels have come off now, because now I know everything flows to me. I'm in super abundance. So I give. I am a generous giver. I give continuously. I give where I'm being told to give. Huge numbers come to me and I'm like, okay. Like, so at the 10% part, I would say I give way more than 10% now. The 10% is training wheels on the bike. And at a certain point, once you've been with the training wheels with the bike for a while, you take the training wheels off. And then you start giving, like Warren Buffett, I heard he gives like 90%. he's somebody who's just constantly upping his numbers until he keeps 10% now for himself and gives 90% back.
To get to 90%, you know, like I've even had conversations this week with people who are curious about the class, and they say, like, what does this mean? I have bills to pay, I have this and that. And I'm like, yeah, because you're still driving the ship, and you've got to at least invite God to be the source of your life. We've talked about it, but what does that look like? And so what I said, I heard myself saying to one woman was like, look, this course sounds like it's going to cause you pain. It's not going to be done peacefully. And the course is offered all over the country all the time. So what I said to her was like, why don't you just start on your own, tithing 1%? And then when you build that up, then you will probably give it again, or Lisa will do this course, or somebody will do this course. And by that time, you won't be fighting so much, because I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not going to arm wrestle you into, you know, your tithe. But what I will say is, like, if you can't do it in peace, peace is the most important thing. If you can't do it in peace, don't do it. But damn, challenge yourself. You know, life is freaking short. And if you're still living with unconscious and unhealed relationships, it's time.
Yeah. And what I want to say about that is that this is only 7 weeks. So it's like a game. So to me, it's really, for anyone who's thinking of doing it, I suggest 10%. Like I have heard people say, you know, if you feel better, just do 1%. But I'm going to say,
no, I mean, side of the,
what?
I suggest her to do that prior to signing up for a course like this, just to work that on her own. If you're going to sign up for this course, I say you have to be committed to the commitments that it requires. Like, just like what you're saying, but I'm saying, like, don't sign up, but on your own do 1%, so that you can develop your consciousness and be able to sign up for something like this. That's all I was saying.
And that's actually a good one too, because that's what I was thinking this morning. Like, this is not for everyone. If you feel like terrified, do not take this class. You will only feel like you got manipulated. You will feel like this is a scam. This is, if you're having any of those ideas and you have 100 questions, I would say it's not time for you yet. And maybe start tithing on your own. Like, maybe don't, but I'm going to say this class is almost never offered. This is one of those classes, you cannot buy this book online. You cannot get it on Amazon. Unity only offers it sometimes. So when I saw, Maureen, that you and Beth are doing it, I'm like, oh my God, that's cool. Because it's not offered. It's not something that's you can get your hands into and get into.
I will say the funny thing, Lisa, is that we're praying on a program to do, and this came to my door. And, you know, talk about like manifesting things, like you just knocking on my door and sending an email. This just came to my door. And when I read it, I was like, yeah, this feels right for our community. And I also felt, for the first time in my life, probably, like, that I was like, I'm doing all of these. I'm tithing my time. I tithe my time. And the same with you, like, I actually tithe more than all of that. And where once this would have scared the heck out of me, I remember when I first learned about tithing about 20 years ago, I was so bad at it. First of all, I was an overgiver. So I told my church I was going to give them $100,000. I told them, I was like, there was no truth in that. They were calling on me like months in, like, is this a real thing? And I'm like, well, I thought it was real. I wanted it to be real, but it was based on no consciousness or understanding of finances whatsoever, and no checking with my own internal teacher. It came from exactly where you said. It came from a place of, like, if I tell the world that I'm going to tithe this much, then I will get this much. It came from wanting to get. So
I want to say, like, I don't think anyone should ever tithe with a credit card. Because I have heard people tithing with a credit card before. That's not tithing. You do not need to put yourself in debt. So, you know, if you want to pay for the registration materials with a credit card, you know, it's $42, I think, go ahead with that. But on the tithing part, you don't need to put it on a credit card. I just want to say that, because I've heard people doing that and then come back to me and be like, I just put myself in debt. I'm like, it's not really possible to put yourself in debt with tithing because you're giving 10% of money that physically came to you. So
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's also a conscious point. There will be a lot of questions that people have. Barbara Clevenger has her hand up, so I added her. Did you want to share, Barbara?
Yeah, I've taught this course many times, and this is taking me back to all the miracle stories that couples and individuals have told me afterwards. So this really, my purpose in putting my hand up is like sometimes your left brain just needs a couple of reasons because the tithing and everything is screaming. So two things for your left brain. One is you may have grown up thinking that the pie is only so big and that somebody else has to give it up or vice versa. So what this course teaches you is we can have more than one pie or the pie can be bigger. So it's not about taking away from someone else and to get what's yours, which is a huge undertaking, a breakthrough. And the other part is that when people have given me testimonials at the end of the course, they're baffled, like, how do I have more money when I've done this? I mean, they're trying to figure it out. How could this have possibly worked? I tithe and now I have more money. And in reality, again, for your left brain to kind of understand it, suddenly you don't need one more pair of earrings. Some of the things that media is trying to convince you, you've got to have, all of a sudden you're in this program and you don't have to have it anymore. It's like not important. And so you really do give the money and have more at the end. It really does happen.
thank you so much for sharing that. That's awesome. And that's just it. The left brain is coming in here and it's full of fear. That's like, and the one thing that I did and I'm grateful for, and I think my experience was the way it was because of this, I played it like a game. And for 7 weeks, I was super excited to give that money. I couldn't wait to give that check. And I actually had a very unusual experience. My very first experience in the first couple of days, I got an unexpected check for $10,000 from somebody who took the 40-day program. I didn't think it was real. I took it to my husband, Bill, and I was like, is this real? Because we did one of these a couple of days earlier. We had done one of those things where you write pretend checks. And so I was in a small group online where we were writing pretend checks, and Bill looked at it and he's like, that looks real. And so I tied 10%, $1,000 back to Unity. Imagine writing a check for that your first week. And then we took $9,000, the entire rest of the money. I didn't see any of it. And we put it in a bank account for an organization, the Teachers of God Foundation, which did not yet exist. That's where you start living boldly. And I remember thinking, I just got that $10,000 check had my name on it, Lisa Natoli. So I was like, I could use this money. I could use this money to start to pay off my debt. But it was like, when you take a class like this, and I saw will.i.am, this work comes back tenfold. It comes back 100-fold, because I was giving with enthusiasm, with love, with like excitement. And I had many times I'm like, I could use that money. And the other thing, I've taken these classes many times. I've taught the class many times. I'm just going to share something that's like embarrassing, but I used to buy lottery tickets back when I had no money, and I don't buy them anymore. And I used to hope someone would give me an inheritance. I used to hope like maybe somebody will like give me an inheritance or give me a big gift or something. And I would actually decide I'm not buying lottery tickets during the 7 weeks because I didn't want to tithe on a big amount. Okay. And I would hope to myself, nobody gives me money. This is the left brain. You all, guess what? You're all going to get in the US, you're all going to get your government checks. $1,400. You're going to tithe on that. And so that you might be thinking, I hope that check doesn't come until 8 weeks from now. No, but seriously, this is what's going to happen. You're going to start to really see like, Oh my God, like I'm insane. But so my suggestion is to give with enthusiasm, like a child. Like this money is play money. That's my
Yeah.
suggestion for 7 weeks, is don't make this all serious. Like just 7 weeks. It's a 7-week experiment. You're going to go all in. And when I have worked with people and they don't have results, it's because they didn't go all in. They were still hesitant about giving those checks, about doing this work. They were still left brain thinking. And that's my suggestion, is like, act like it's play money. One of the things that I've learned, I mean, I've read everything there can be read about prosperity classes from Unity that's been written. And they say that 10% is actually 10% because it's just scary enough for people. It's like, it is a number, it is a percentage that's like, they'll say you still get to keep 90%, but 10% pushes buttons. It does. It's like, well, can I give 5%? Can I give 3%? Can I give, and what I just want to say about that is like, that's the thing that's being healed, is our control issues. That's the problem. It's not just around money, it's about life and our relationships. We're always trying to control it. Like, I'm gonna give what I want when I want. So this is just like blowing like everything off, like
Well,
right off.
even talking about it, I was raised, and the man I married, who has yesterday or 2 days ago, we celebrated his 2nd year of passing, and that was, all of that has been very hard.
Mhm.
But you just don't talk about money
Yeah.
to anyone,
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
So this whole thing for me, my hands are sweating.
Yeah.
My hands are absolutely sweating, because it's like, you just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure that that's everybody's experience, and especially in course communities and spiritual communities. Like, this is for many. When I started doing this work and money started coming my way and I started talking about tithing openly, I got publicly ridiculed, bullied,
Wow.
told I'm the worst course teacher ever. Just the tipping of the tables and in the temple, and because of my experience with it, I'm like, I know what it is for me, and that's part of my prosperity, is really knowing what I know. People can say whatever they want to say, but that's what happens. You get a physical reaction, like your hands sweating.
Not so much a question, just a comment. Again, I'm scared shitless.
Yay.
I'm scared shitless, but it's okay. I'm really needy. I really need this. I've taken these as 40-day, and they have blessed me so much, being in the Teachers of God membership room, with things that have kept me going and live in this certain situation that I'm in. I mean, I work, I have a teacher, I have a job, but I have obligations and things that keep me like right below, like Lisa said, my bills, just my money doesn't coming in, doesn't make the bills, and I'm not living extravagantly. So, and I'm really careful what I do. But I am the light of God, and I am the love of God. And I know that there's abundance in this. And so I am so excited. I'm scared to death about the commitment, the different commitments, but I feel that I can do this. I feel like I can do this. So I'm excited about it. But again, what the woman just shared before me, it's good to be honest and vulnerable and transparent and authentic. That's what this is all about. We have to be this way in order to heal ourselves, heal the world around us, and be the people that we're meant to be. So.
Yeah, when this recording goes out, Lori, I want you to come back to what you just said. I can listen to the recording and see what you said, but like Lori just said, many things that I think should go on your vision list, like how you want to show up now. Because like when you say I'm scared shitless, like one of the things I'm going to suggest to everyone here is don't come into the program scared shitless. Like, because then you said, I'm excited to do this, I need to do this. Like, that's the shift in perception that A Course in Miracles talks about. So don't wait for the 7 weeks to take away the scared shitless. Take it away now. Like, change it into enthusiasm. Change it into like, okay, whoa, I'm taking a 7-week class with my playmates. And then you said, I'm really careful what I do. So that's the old pattern. So now it's like, okay, I'm childlike. I'm full of wonder. I'm full of awe. Children, they don't hang on to money. They're like, they're just so abundant with it. They're so just like, they're full of generosity. That's what we are. And then you said, I love, you talked about, I love that she was being honest, transparent, and vulnerable. So that becomes your new vision for yourself for life. That's what it was for me. Like I was like, okay, the happiest, richest person on the planet, I'm expressive, authentic. I make tons of mistakes. I laugh at it when I make a mistake. I show up scared. I tithe joyfully. I tip generously. I love surprising people with money. I mean, can you imagine, everyone here, what would happen if the whole world lived like this? Can you imagine like what it would be like when you start giving these checks? Like for 7 weeks, you're going to give it to the organization for a speakeasy. But then what's going to happen is then you open it up now to start to give it like in all directions. Like now it's like, I can't tell you how many people over the years have told me, they get a letter from me with a money check and I tell them, you've so inspired me. I tithe where I'm spiritually fed. They say they're blown away. They're like, they needed money. They were praying for money. They needed like a little inspiration. They didn't know they were being inspiring. So now what we're doing is we're lighting this world up. We're not just giving the money. We're acknowledging people for like being a light in this world. So thank you so much, Lori.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Thank you.
One of the questions before Beth tells you what to do in regards to preparing for the class, if you're going to take it, one of the questions is, how do I tithe if I don't have any money and any income? And what I've been saying, Lisa, but I'd love to hear what you have to say is like, this isn't even about money. It's about willingness, because right now you're signing up with no cash flow. But I know that when you decide to get in right relationship, those things will open up. And that when that begins to open up, that you stay committed to the idea that you are going to give 10%. As an actor, it was easy for me because I gave 15, 20% to my agent right away. No matter what, everything that came in, my agent took 10, 15% off the top. And I was like, at one point, I was like, I can't love my agent more than I love God. You know what I mean? That's just not wise. So do you want to share on that of like, what do you do if you don't have any money coming in? Is that okay?
Yeah, I didn't have any money coming in. So that's where I started. And I think one of the big things that Bill and I, when we started teaching, the questions that were coming in, like things like, my partner doesn't want to give, my partner doesn't want me to take this course. How much is mine? What's my money? A lot of women would come to us that had never had their own money. They basically were housewives and their money was their husband's. And so we're starting to break away from all of this. Like money doesn't just come to like certain people. God's abundance comes to all of us. And so some of you are going to have some hard conversations, like, and you with your partner, and the way I would handle it is to just say, you know what, there's this 7-week class. I really want to take it. This thing called tithing. I never heard of it, but I really want to do it. What money is mine if you're in a relationship? And if your partner says none of it, like this is the kids' money and my money, and you can't tithe on this. Awesome. Okay. I'm living in God's abundance. And remember that abundance isn't just money, it's inspiration. So the currency of me having the idea for the 40-day program, that's currency.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, that's divine ideas or currency. And that's going to scare you because now you're going to have to go out of your comfort zone. And again, it's a lot of this work too is going to start to shake your relationships a little bit because things start to shift and change. As you start to shift and change, you start to become more confident, more generous. You know, you suddenly are giving $100 tip to a waiter for a cup of coffee. Like I do stuff like this, and it's just like, and Bill's on board with me, so he does it too. So it works for us. But if you're in a relationship, I think you have to have a conversation. You have to say, can you support me just for 7 weeks while I try it out? I just want to try it out. There's always a question of like, what about, my child's child support? You have to find that out for yourself. Like you really have to like find out for yourself what's, in the way Bill and I do it, and it's just been a really good journey for us. Because when Bill and I got together, he paid all the bills. Like he really was so helpful in like putting a roof over my head. But I thought, I don't want to depend on Bill as my source and supply of income and abundance. I want to see it. I want to see it for myself. And what Bill and I do is we actually have our own bank accounts, and we have what's called the house account. So I have a bank account that's got my name on it. He has a bank account, and we have a house account that we each put money into every 2 weeks for rent, bills, food, restaurants. If ever there's an additional thing, Bill will say, oh, you need to put in a couple $100 extra in the house account if something breaks and that's how we handle it. Last year, on January, I did something I've never done. I started a savings account, and I had a lot of guilt around that. I thought, and that's the thing, that these old patterns come up where it's like, I always thought you're not supposed to save money. You're supposed to keep it in the flow. But I was like, I don't know why I'm starting this savings account, but I started a savings account, and guess what, everybody? I'm going to tell you something nobody knows. Bill and I just bought a house. We bought our right. I know. I haven't told anybody, but we're in a rental, and it's the lease ends in May. So we bought a house on January 2nd, and it's gorgeous. And we bought that house because I had money in a savings account. Like my credit is excellent because I paid off all my debt. Took me years to do. I mean, I've been doing this work since 2012. But that's the thing, a divine inspired idea, don't fight it. I had an idea to open up a bank account, a savings account, and I just started putting money into it. Still giving money, still paying my bills. I always pay my debt down to zero. I don't have any debt. I use my credit card to pay for things sometimes, just to get Marriott points and hotel points, but I pay it off to zero every month. I don't want any credit card debt. So these are the kind of things that you'll start to think up for yourself.
Thank you so much for those tools. Congratulations on your new home. So well earned from the organic consciousness. Like you can smell the truth and not the scam. And I hope you can. I hope that you have like the ability to hear what she's laying down for you that's available to each of us. Super, super grateful for it, because like what would happen if we lived in a world like this? We are going to be able to do so much more good. Beth Gordon is just going to tell you a little bit about, if you click the link and sign up for it, like what that will look like and how you can prepare for the class.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and for all of you that are signing up for the class. We're so excited to take this journey with you. Maureen and I are actually on the journey with you. we're not teaching this to you. We're facilitating a space where we can all go through this experience together. So in order to prepare yourself properly for the class, if you could get a journal, dedicate a journal to this class, and after you sign up, you're going to be receiving an email from Keys to the Kingdom, and it will have downloads for 8 audios and a workbook. And if you download all those audios and have them on your computer, on your phone, somewhere where you'll be able to listen to them and download the workbook. And the first audio, if you would listen to it, it's 45 minutes long. If you would listen to it before our class tomorrow night, 7 Central. So the sooner you register and get things downloaded, you can listen and prepare yourself. In addition to that, in the workbook, there is a commitment form for you to sign. And if you would print that out and bring that to class. And also at the end of the workbook, there are 3 forms. One is for keeping track of how you're tithing your time. One is for keeping track of how you're tithing your talent. And one is for keeping track of how you're tithing your income. So if you could take a look at those forms and print them out, or in your journal, have a way to keep track of those and just have those things ready, you will be good to go and have everything in place without any confusion as we begin tomorrow evening. So the link for signing up is in the chat. And if you have any questions, we'll be here to answer that for you. And really what we're doing is we're expanding our consciousness together. We're stepping into a way of viewing the world that goes beyond any limitations that you've had before around money, but it is an expansion in consciousness that will make a difference in every area of your life. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or raise your hand. And Lisa, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
I just want to say this is going to be the funnest class ever with you and Maureen. I know it. I'm so happy. I can already see how many people are signing up. If you want me to come in during the 7 weeks, I'm happy to come in.
We would love that.
We would love it. But I can already just, a part of me wants to jump in already, but I have so many things going on that I'm already committed to. So, but every time there's a prosperity class, I want to take it. I just always want to up my game. I'm always like, I don't know. To me, this is like an adult playground for children. That's how I feel. Like very, very rarely as adults do we have a playground. Like adults are so serious. Like we're so like, but this is like we get to play now with what do I want? How do I want to show up? It's just like it's really something. And then it is a blast to give money. It is a blast because you'll start to know that there's no end to God's supply. There's not.
Exactly.
There's a one line, I'll say one last thing and then I'm done, that I learned in some of these prosperity classes. You cannot outgive God. Not possible.
Thank you, Lisa Natoli. What the hell? How generous was that? How helpful was that? I know that all that she gives out continues to bless her incredibly. As I know this for us, we're going to close in a prayer. So I invite us all to just tuck our chin and bow our heads and know that God is good, that God is our source, that we are so held in this grace, in this truth, in this love, and in this law. And we allow ourselves to move into and activate the law of prosperity, the law of giving and receiving, the law of reciprocity, the law of right action, the law of high consciousness, the law of knowing it's done unto us as we believe. I just give thanks for the activation of these laws, whether you're, as we continue to move through these conversations, both at Teachers of God, the healing, cure, and Miracles Live 365 and any conversations that you're in for your spiritual well-being, that this seed has been planted, that you're in a conscious awareness of it, that you continue to move forward at the pace of peace in regards to your own prosperity. I know that we've all been blessed by this conversation, and we all will be blessed by this conversation. And so I just thanks for the healing and revealing that takes place. And so for this and so much more, I give thanks. I surrender these intentions into the beautiful energy of God's love, who's already said yes and yes and yes, my beloved. Yes, of course. And so I just let it be. And together we say,